this is, this is real talk.
Real talk.
It's officially April 15th, 2020. Welcome back to the live stream, everybody. Our friends Ollie, Yaz are joining us live on the call. And welcome back, Steve. Welcome back, Xenia.
Hi. Ooh, welcome. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to yourselves.
Welcome to yourselves. I love that. How's everybody doing today?
I'm good. I am good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling fatigued. Some fatigue.
Some fatigue. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Been a long day. I've even had sugar in my tea. That never happens. But
oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had weaned myself off of sugar in my tea for a long time, but I'm back on. I'm doing agave now.
Okay.
Agave. Yeah. How are you doing, Yes?
I still had some pain, so I've had some painkillers, so I'm feeling a bit better now.
Did the yoga go okay yesterday, considering all the pain you've been experiencing?
Yeah, I mean, I seemed to be all right for a bit, but then when I was sleeping last night, I was just like, I had real hard time getting comfortable. So I was like, when I woke up, I was in quite a bit of pain. But when I'm walking around, I seem fine. It's just when I've been in the same position for a long time, it just hurts.
Yeah.
So I don't usually take medication, but I had a couple of paracetamol, nothing too strong. So that seems to have done the job. So feel a bit better. I got a free haircut from my 13-year-old this morning.
Nice.
So
I still expect she was pay me. You're a horrible client.
Oh, she wants me
You're
to
a
pay
horrible client.
That was awesome. You're a horrible client.
I did moan quite a bit. I was quite picky. So but then she cut the little one's hair as well, so I'm more happy about that.
That's too funny.
Yeah, and it's nice and warm today, so we did all that in the garden.
After spending time in the garden.
So
it's horrible weather.
Yeah.
I need a haircut.
Yeah.
I do.
Just 13-year-olds, yeah, they're available to do haircutting sometimes.
Oh, cool. So I thought we could get started today with just a brief meditation, and I thought I'm actually feeling inspired to do one focused around diffusion, if you folks would be okay with that.
Cool.
So I'd like to invite you folks to find yourselves seated comfortably, and adjust yourselves in your seats however works for you. Remember, you don't have to close your eyes if you don't wish to. And if you're feeling a little bit antsy, it's okay to move. It's okay to adjust clothing. Yeah, open a window, tell a sibling to turn something down. Hey, what have we got? Are you going to do the meditation with us? Oh, I love the disappear behind mom's chair move. That was good. So I'll invite you folks to, just find yourselves in a comfortable posture. I'm going to close my eyes. And if you're comfortable with it, you may wish to close your own. If not, that's okay too. Just give yourself a moment here to have a breath. Settle into what you're noticing in this moment. Allowing the group of us just some time to settle into this shared space. Becoming aware of any sensations that may be here accompanying you on this meditation. Our friend Yaz shared that back pain is still showing up. I'm noticing the sound of wind off in the distance. I have my window open ever so slightly. Notice whatever's happening for you in your environment. And if you need to come to the breath, or if you need to bring some motion into the body, I'd like to invite you to take care of you. Just notice if your mind has any rigid rules about what it means to be meditating here with us. And I'm going to follow my own advice here. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to scratch my mouth. Oh, that feels really good. Allowing yourself just some time to be present here. And I'd like to invite you to notice what words, sensations show up perhaps in your body, what images pop up in your mind. When I say this next word, pandemic, and whether you're still working, our friend Ollie, who's here on this call with us, is a physical therapist. He's working in hospitals. Whether you're like myself and Xenia and Steve, supporting people online through yoga classes, seeing clients, whether you're a student like our friend Yaz, whatever your life looks like in the presence of this global pandemic, I'd just like you to notice what thoughts, sensations, feelings, images come to mind. And there may be some frightening content. For me, I notice worries. I'd just like to invite you to come in contact with what that word means to you right now. Allowing ourselves a moment to observe all those different thoughts and feelings, those sensations, those images that come up for us. And I'd like to encourage you to notice that the content shifts. You might have worries that are really close to home, worries about your finances, worries about yourself or someone you love. You might be experiencing grief over losing someone, whether it be a patient, a family member, a friend, an acquaintance. Grief about losing your lifestyle. There might be bigger picture pieces of content that occur to you, like news articles that you've seen, video footage, really allow yourself to notice that there's different images, different thoughts. And noticing that there's a collective we here, separate from all that content. There's an us staying home. There's an us only going out once a week to shop for groceries. There's an us not visiting our family members. There's an us washing our hands. That although we stand 6 feet apart, we stand united. And if some information, some content comes in to say, well, Tim, I've seen some people in my community being real jerks. Notice that too. Not standing 6 feet apart. Not standing with us. Okay. Breathe that in. Become aware of that too. And notice that as we label this, we identify it. We can label it and we can work with it. And if you have young children at home, or if there's somebody vulnerable in your world who is really struggling with this pandemic word, I'd like to offer you a challenge today to assist them in labeling that word and modeling a sense of cradling, of holding whatever may show up in its presence. Take another breath here on purpose, however that looks and feels for you. Bring some motion into the body, like a wiggle of the fingers or rotation of the wrists. Maybe roll your shoulders up, forward, and down. Move the head from side to side. And before we return to this space, connecting with one another, speaking, seeing one another, I'd just like to invite you to give yourself a moment here to just share your gratitude for having this day. There are many people who didn't make it through the night, who did not get to greet this day. And I want you to know that I am honored that you have taken the time out of your day to be here live on this call, to chat with us, or to watch this back. Your attention is really special to me. Thank you. When you feel ready, opening your eyes, returning to this space. Welcome back, everybody. Did some tears show up for some of you?
Oh, it was, yeah. I wouldn't say it was tears of sadness. It was a release. So I noticed a lot throughout the practice of there to be a lot of either tension or quivering.
Yeah.
It would flip back and forth. So quivering of the lips and then tension in the jaw, which is one of the areas that I will hold stuff.
Yeah.
And then Steve, I know we both talked about this before, like that pelvic floor, that pelvis, that second chakra and first chakra holding, that stuff. That was very present. And then lots of yawning. So I always take that yawning as just as the body, like creating for grasping more oxygen, going for that. And then with the yawning, there also being these little tears. So sometimes it was connected to a yawn, other times it wasn't. And it was just that release.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks. Anybody else? Just anything you noticed? Anything that showed up for you?
I found it more emotional than I was expecting, actually. there's just an image that it's quite strange. I looked out the window and I just got so fed up with it yesterday. This was at work, and I'm overlooking the accident and emergency department, and I wasn't even supposed to be in the COVID hospital. Now my hospital's COVID, it's all COVID. And I know, yeah, as yours, Birmingham's been affected badly as well. And yesterday, the ambulances, they don't stop coming. They just don't stop coming. It's not like a constant stream, but it's like there's another one and another one.
Wow.
And they're just taking people out, and yeah, they're all really sick. And I'm not moaning about it; it's just the way that it is. But God, blimey! Then that's what came up for me in this meditation. It's like, oh, please stop! Just stop coming. It's like, I want this to be over now. I mean, I didn't, what I'm saying. And I haven't connected with that feeling. That's the first time I've sort of connected with that, I think. Anyway, and then I thought of something much more nice. So that was, I was in the queue waiting for Tesco, and a lad, I don't know whether he was neurotypical, but he's like, "Why is the queue so long?" And I'm like, "Haven't you seen the news?"
Oh no!
He was lovely. He was absolutely lovely. But then he asked it again and again and again, and that's when I thought, okay, that's all right. I'll just explain it again and again and again. That's okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Can I just? Yes, shopping trolley, wheeled shopping trolley. That's the answer to the big heavy shops.
But my mum told me off because I forgot to take the shopping trolley with me as I was leaving. And then when I came home and I was complaining about how heavy the bags were, she was like, "You didn't take the shopping trolley, did you?" And I was
there
like,
you go. I was thinking about you when you said it, and I've got my wheeled shopping trolley. It arrived today, so I'm officially like me granny.
Yeah, I think there's an air of I didn't want to quite take it because it's my mum's shopping trolley, and it's like that's
no
too
pride, girl. Just give into it.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. Ollie, I didn't experience you as moaning at all. I actually think it's personally like very helpful to me to hear what your experience is like, because it makes it a little bit more real and a little bit more manageable than seeing these monotone sort of news stories, where they're just discussing numbers and showing kind of B-roll of waiting rooms or of ambulances. It feels really human and really alive to hear you talk. And it sounds difficult, but to hear you talk about, man, the ambulances just keep coming, and just, and to have somebody say, man, the queue is long today, right? Like, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. Steve, let's check in with you, my friend.
It was interesting, the meditation. I want to sort of like what you were just saying about Ollie's comment about bringing it into reality is one of my friends asked me the other day, where she said first, she's like, this seems so surreal because, and we're sort of in the same circumstance where we're isolated with our families, but neither of us actually know anybody who's been affected, like specifically by COVID. And so like when she asked, she's like, do you know anybody who actually has had it or has been in like really close quarters with somebody who has it? And I was like, no, I don't. And that's one of the things that seems so weird about it, is that I don't actually know anybody that's been directly affected by it, that it's all pretty much just hearsay as far as I'm concerned, as far as my mind and my experience is concerned. So it's good for me to like to hear all these stories, just like, it is real, and people are out there, like what Ollie's doing on the front lines, and people that I know that are working in areas like that. Especially, I got a bunch of friends who are social workers working with like homeless in the area. They're out there too, and it's just the difference of experience, like that we're all, like you're saying, we're all in this together, and our experiences of it can be vastly different. Right. That I'm almost like an innocent bystander of the whole thing. Like I don't know anybody that's had it. I don't know anybody other than a couple of my friends that are maybe working in hospitals that talk about it, but I have no real direct experience of it, which is just interesting to feel.
It's a different direct experience, right?
So
it's not, I don't know anybody personally who has had the virus. Now there's a lot of conversation with people that I know that say like, what if we did have a mild case of it earlier? like just after Christmas. And it's actually come from a bunch of different pockets of people I know of having that, saying like my whole family, like we were out, we were in the hospital, we were having major like respiratory issues, really sick, high fevers. And it lasted a couple weeks. No medication was helping. And then it was done. So I'm hearing people talk about maybe they had it, and I don't think that we're ever going to really know about that. Yeah. But then
rapid tests, they're made like not that far from here.
But for after, like for something that you would have had like 3.
Oh yeah, because you can test for the antibodies.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh.
Because that's how we know we're immune. Yeah. So actually, there's a YouTube channel that I follow where some gentlemen in Puerto Rico actually received the rapid test. I think it's costing about $10 to $12 per test. So just as a heads up, in case, you see them on the gray market, they're being sold for like $30 a test, just, so you have a rough estimate of what these things actually cost, or maybe several $100s. And they had a similar theory, Xenia, which was that, they had this real bad flu around New Year's Eve. I also had I was severely sick with a flu, probably the worst that I've ever been, sometime around January. Lest we forget, the US did stop travel from the US to China and stopped flights coming in from China. So it is suspected, that this was here, person-to-person transmission, much obviously sooner than March when we started having lockdowns. However, there's a lot of data on that last flu that was going around, showing that it's actually one of the worst flus that has been going around in quite a long time.
Yeah, I got that one. It was nasty.
Yeah. Which I think brings up a really interesting question, and pardon me for bringing up some challenging ideas here. But because we're, and I don't know what the situation is currently in the UK, how testing is going. But because testing is so scarce, at least here in Canada land, our folks presenting at urgent care emergency rooms with this really bad flu, and we're not aware of whether or not it's the novel coronavirus. Yeah.
I just get the little peekaboo behind.
I know, I love
every
it.
now and then, and it's just.
I didn't actually know she was there for a while because she was so quiet. Rustling behind me. But over here in England, the testing is quite few and far between, from what I know. And people are too scared to go and get tested because they don't want to get sent to the hospital, because they just want to avoid the hospital unless they're really, really, really badly ill. So because there's so many stories of people going in when they don't have the virus and then coming out with the virus. So everybody's just trying to avoid all medical centers for as much as they can, really.
Oh wow. Yeah.
We're getting now, you get double swabbed because the sensitivity of the test is not brilliant. And I'm not aware that you can tell whether you've got it, but we haven't got. I've not been exposed to a test that says whether I've had it. So you've either got it. So we haven't got. I think the antibody test says whether you've had it, but I'm not aware that actually exists. Well, not in my neck of the woods at any rate.
Yeah.
So we're just testing to see whether you've got it, because all of our I'm dealing with broken bones at the moment, and people are coming in, and so they should all get tested before they even come in. But
to see if they're actively contagious with the virus.
So no one should be coming into where I'm working with COVID. But inevitably, every day there's about 3 of them who just start throwing off symptoms. This is so contagious. It's just, and I think that's the thing. So yeah.
And because you're in a quote non-COVID hospital, are they still providing?
A little section. The whole blooming. I thought it was a non-COVID hospital. The whole hospital's COVID. Mine is the only little section that isn't.
And are they still giving you appropriate PPE or no?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what is
because
the
we've
testing?
got suspected COVID patients on our bed. So,
and what's the methodology that they're using right now for testing? Is it the nose swab?
snub swabs.
So
And I've not verified this. Normally I do actually, but anyway, I've been told the sensitivity is not brilliant with a 30% failure rate, so they're done swabbing, and that should get it down to about 10%.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a company here in Ontario that's manufacturing a blood prick rapid test that is giving and its reliability is also not great. I think it's somewhere around 80%, and it gives results within about 10 to 15 minutes. It is a little bit tricky to use, is my understanding. You administer the prick, and then the blood goes onto the carrier, and then you need to use I don't know if it's like saline or what they're using to actually transport the blood. And it will tell you whether or not the blood is transmitted onto the test strip successfully, and then it will show you whether or not you are positive for the antibodies.
Right. Okay.
And so now that has just recently been approved by the FDA. Okay. It is not approved in Canada for whatever reason, even though it's manufactured in Canada. Yeah. Yeah. Heartbreaking.
Well, I haven't seen anything like that over here.
Yeah. And my understanding is that the price for hospitals to order this is about $10 to $12 US.
Okay.
Yeah. The Canadian dollar.
That's what we need. We need to know who, if you've had it, because always assuming that confers some level of immunity. Because we've got a load of staff off, they're unable to work because they're isolating themselves.
Of course.
I don't know whether they've got it or not. Just like me, I don't know whether I had it the first time round or not. No way of knowing.
Yeah. It's such an important question. Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah. There's also something else I've been learning a little bit about. I've been learning a lot more than I knew before this novel coronavirus outbreak. I didn't realize that you can screen positive for having the antibodies, but you can still get sick again because you don't have enough of the antibodies in your system.
Right.
I had no idea. Right, yeah. So it's not quite as simple as saying like, oh, well, now you're immune.
Damn.
Yeah. Of course, organic chemistry isn't that simple. Yeah.
So scary.
Yeah.
That's scary. Knowing that you can get it more than once. Can you get it multiple times? It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Kind of freaks me out, that.
Totally. But we're doing the right thing. That's why we're all in isolation.
Yeah.
I have to pause for a second and ask, where is the bird? Who's got a bird? Because I am hearing this wonderful little chirping and I love it. And I'm kind of not listening to what you're saying because I'm listening to the bird.
Listening for the bird.
It's my garden door's open.
Oh.
It's quite a nice day today.
Beautiful.
It's nice and sunny, so all the birds are here.
That just brings me so much joy as I sit here and I look outside on this April, what day is it? 15th? Mm-hmm. And watch the snow fall.
Yeah.
I know, yesterday, right?
It's snowing right here. It is snowing.
Yeah,
from where I am.
It's snowing where you are? Wow.
Yeah. It's not snowing here now.
We had a big rush of it yesterday.
Yeah.
We had that too. And then last night, and then it was super sunny this morning, but cold. And then now it's gray and snowy again. So I'm hearing this bird and I'm like, oh, that's so lovely. I want to just listen to that bird right now, or those birds. So thanks for having your garden door open.
It's been quite nice. I've been out there a couple of times today, just being out in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really nice. Yeah, I've been enjoying that.
Beautiful. I'm a big bird song fan. Yeah. It was nice to wake up this morning to all the rooftops snow capped, and it was very, very picturesque, very pretty. Yeah.
Not for me. I was like, where is the sun? Where is the
It's April in Canada, dude. What do you expect?
I knew it was going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
like when everybody was like, "Oh, I'm so surprised it's snowing." I'm like, I'm not surprised. This happens every year.
I'm not surprised at all because it has, like, I'll go back to pictures from last year and the year before, and I think it's like in the last like 4 years that we've had. Like, I have a video of it being on Earth Day and being like, "Thanks, Mother Nature, it's snowing. We hear you." And then 2 years ago, we had this crazy ice storm, like flash ice storm, that a tree branch on my front lawn knocked down and pulled the hydro conduit from my house in the middle of the night.
Hmm.
So it's funny, my son was talking about that today. He's like, "Do you remember that day that you worked in my school when like the library was leaking?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah," because I was a school social worker at the time, and his school wasn't one of mine, but because we had this major issue with the electricity being ripped from my house, my boss said, "Just go to that school, work from there so you're close enough to home to deal with it." But then we get to the school and the roof is leaking and water's pouring down. So that's how I spent my day that day. But I'm really thankful that that's not happening right now, because we don't need to add that to some of the stress.
Mhm. Yeah. Also, just as a quick heads up, Rebecca said in the chat, "I bought my first bird feeder this week." Right on, Rebecca.
Hmm.
Rebecca's feeling the bird songs as well. Did anybody catch what is his name? I can't remember. Navarro on 60 Minutes.
No.
Oh, it was a really interesting interview. He's I can't remember what his. Oh, this is terrible. I probably should have looked this up. He's one of the. I don't know if he's working on the actual like coronavirus. I like the like. I don't want to be on YouTube.
But I kind of do.
He was I don't know if he was on the coronavirus task force for the U.S. government, but he's an official that's working with the Trump government. Anyways, he was being interviewed on 60 Minutes, and he had this really challenging kind of confrontational statement, like, the media's criticism of this administration's handling of this outbreak is ridiculous. Nobody could have prepared for this. Nobody could have been ready for this epidemic, and you've never challenged, you, the new reporter for 60 Minutes, never challenged another administration before us. Why aren't you preparing for a pandemic? And the reporter was like, "Oh no, we have." And then they literally cut to like multiple segments where they've been busting the chops of previous administrations to be, what are you doing to prepare for, the Zika virus, H1N1, Ebola, whatever it may be. I even remember like a mad cow disease. My uncle's father, so not my grandfather, but he married into the family. His father died of mad cow disease, right? So I mean, yeah, there's been conversations going on for decades about global travel, the global economy becoming a lot more accessible, and how are we going to deal with viruses and outbreaks and pandemics. So I thought that was a really interesting kind of journalism kind of moment. Yeah, if you folks haven't caught 60 Minutes with Navarro is his last name, I would definitely recommend checking it out. It was an interesting watch. Yeah, or even just checking out like a highlight reel. Yeah. So before we move into our movement practice, how's everybody managing self-isolation? Any tips? Any turbulence? Any difficulties?
Let your kids make cakes.
Make cakes.
Make cake. You got to eat it.
Okay. Yeah, they've been doing that. They've been doing.
I've been doing that.
Yeah, you've been doing that. So yeah, generally let the kids been doing that sort of stuff, and and then they've been doing bits of their schoolwork online here and there.
Okay.
But some days they do like hours of it. Some days they don't want to go near it. So just see how it's going at the time. Right.
Do you find it hard to create like a routine around getting schoolwork done?
Yes. because the 13-year-old, she likes getting
I
up.
like the head turn. You hear that? The 13-year-old.
Yeah, she likes getting up a bit later, which is like pretty normal for teenagers.
I'm stereotyping.
She says I'm stereotyping, but you know.
With me, it's only cool.
But the little one, she gets up quite early, so
I got up early as well. I just got back to sleep.
yeah. So it's a bit hard to get a proper routine when everybody's on a different timetable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and two, like we have my 5-year-old really wants to be doing lots of school, and he wants to be doing lots of school on the computer like his brother. And then it's a fight over who gets to use the computer, and why does the kid in grade 4 have more work to do or more structured work than the one in kindergarten, and balancing those pieces. So trying to have like, well, here's some workbooks, and they're so smart. Like the little one is like, yeah, but that's not what I need to do for school. So it's not like the assigned work. And then because in Ontario, we have both junior kindergarten and senior kindergarten. Our kindergarten is a 2-year program.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that he's posted to do, he's like, but I already did that in JK. So that's not for me. That's for the JK. So really kind of, I like this. Like, I kind of like the transferable skills he's learning about, I've done this, I know it. I don't really need to practice it because I can read. So going through the letters and the letter sounds isn't the same level as where he's at. But so just trying to kind of figure those pieces out, and then also reducing the screen times, because like I was saying yesterday, screens for schoolwork, screens for entertainment, screens for work. Uh-oh, Tim.
Sorry, pop up.
I just saw this. The face.
It just made a weird noise. I don't like things that distract me because I'm so easily distracted.
Yeah, me too. And right now I'm finding that I'm actually even more distracted and more easily kind of like squirrel drawn away. And I think that's just that general sense of heightenedness in the body, in the system, that anything I'm like, what is it? What is it?
Yeah.
That anticipation of something else that's going to happen.
Yeah, I know for us, like managing is really just trying to find as many activities to do together as we can. So even if it's screen time together, like both my son and I love to play video games, so we'll play video games together, or we'll like cook some food together. Like Yaz's daughter is like, let kids make cake. That pretty much every day, like at least if not every day, every other day, we're making some food together. Like even if it's just like my wife and my daughter like baking cookies together or something like that. Or right now my wife's on a big like cinnamon bun or a cinnamon roll kick, so she's got a good dough recipe, and we've been having like tons of cinnamon buns over here, which has been great. But yeah, for us it's trying to find as many things to do together as we can. And I've been meditating a ton, which is great. Like that's one of the things that I will say that has sort of arisen out of this time, is that without any of us really having any solid schedules, I'm allowed to just get up in the morning, and the kids will be in the living room, my wife will go for a run, and I'll sit in the bedroom for a good 30-40 minutes, which feels really, really nice. So yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Sitting practice has always been a really good coping mechanism for me.
Yeah, same.
I've had a good one this week. I've got much more. I might have mentioned last week, I was starting to feel guilty about not reading or food for my mind. Yeah. So I finally got around to that Kelly Wilson book, Mindfulness for Two. Oh wow, what a brilliant book. That is just been sat on my bookshelf for ages, and I'm thinking I should have opened this a long time ago. So that's a fantastic one. And I've had a little thing, because I did my masters over the last couple of years. And while I did that, I put my private therapy practice on ice, and the masters has completely changed the way I want to think about that. So I want to restart this. I've been using the time to think about where I'm going to go forward with that. So it's going to be different, but I'm not quite sure how yet. So that's fun.
Yeah, Yeah.
Oh, and in the evenings, I've just been a couple of guitarist mates. Just it's amazing how many nights we can just talk about guitars, just rubbish. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm down for that conversation.
Yeah.
Ollie, I got to tell you, I have some PT colleagues out here who I had helped develop a ACT PT kind of curriculum, and I mean, I know a lot of PTs who are rocking ACT and doing amazing with it.
It fits in with what Steve mentioned last week, the biopsychosocial model. It just fits in flawlessly. It's so it's the perfect fit. Really
That's
good.
cool.
Ollie, if you're looking for any new people to check out, there's a guy out of Toronto. His name is Greg Lemons, and he's a physical therapist.
I know
Who's
the
sort
name.
of his model is the biopsychosocial. But even when you go to workshops with him, like the last workshop I went to, I was like, that's very acty, and that's very acty, and that's very acty. So if you want, Greg Lemons is, if you
I'm familiar with his stuff. I follow him on Twitter. He's a good guy.
Oh,
Cool.
Good. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah,
He's really great.
He's very good. As you said, Tim, there's physios have cottoned on to the ACT model, but especially the difficult stuff, the persistent pain, the pain that doesn't go away. It's so useful for that.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of thinking about it as well, because it's quite an interesting one from a values perspective. Because very often we can't, I don't know, hang on, don't want to go. Why not? So very often you kind of go with values when you're working with someone. But if the thing about pain is it's such an overwhelming thing, you know, in terms of, and people just want to escape it.
Absolutely.
And if all they want to do is escape, it's like, no, I'm not going to do values just yet. I need to escape. And I haven't quite worked out the right place to stick values in. But I mean, most people, you can do it. But some people, when they've got this, when they're really under this control, this total aversion.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been thinking about as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, I that's one of the things that occurs to me about ACT as being so incredibly relevant is learning how to work with pain rather than trying to get better at duking it out with pain. Yeah. Very cool. All right, folks. This has been, just exactly what I needed today. A little check-in and get connected with one another. Laura followed up with Rebecca's comment saying, I placed one on my balcony, a bird feeder, and my cats are thoroughly entertained. Oh no. Oh man. So Ollie, please feel free to come back and join us in the future. I would love to talk more about mindfulness for two, how you're integrating ACT into your practice. Yes, of course, please. The door is open. Join us every call, Yeah. Have your kids come on. They can be on YouTube. What's up? And I got to tell you, for those of you who are out there watching, listening, if you haven't picked up a copy of Mindfulness for Two, we don't get any kickback from this. I'm telling you right now, you can rip chapter 3 out of that book. I think it's chapter 3, Clinician's Guide to Stimulus Control. And that is worth the price of the book alone.
Totally.
Book. I think it was co-written by the absolutely brilliant Emily Sandos. And man, that chapter is just, it's worth the cost of the book alone. So Xenia, you're seconding that, Ollie? Yeah.
Oh, it just, because I'm not behaviorally trained at all.
Yeah.
I never mind. So it was CBT based, and I didn't get any of that kind of behavior analytics stuff. And that was just written, it's written in a way, I endorse that, Tim, it's written in a way which is so understandable. Just that oh God, this makes so much sense of it.
Totally.
And I love that chapter. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I can't remember chapter 2 or chapter 3, but it's fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you. That's awesome. Xenia, you have a movement practice for us today.
Not one overly prepared, but yes, we'll go with the flow. I've had a whole bunch of different ideas, and then like in many of my yoga classes, I'll come with a plan and then it'll change.
And then you wing it, right?
And then it's like, cool. So are you ready to do whatever shows up? So we'll go with that. I was really intrigued yesterday with Steve's movement practice with the feet, paying attention to the feet. And I know most of us are sitting right now. So I'm going to see if you're able to stand. I'm going to unplug my headset. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it loud enough? Feedback? We'll see. Okay. So if you can stand, that would be awesome. If not, all good. And I just want to invite you for a minute to check in. And a different way of checking in, instead of seated and checking in with our breath, I want you to check in with a little bit of movement, a little shimmy. So kind of wiggling out the hands. And I know a lot of times we do lots of things really slowly and mindfully, but right now I just want to get the blood flowing, move it out with the hands, at the hands, to the wrists, to the elbows, and then to the shoulders. And then sometimes when the shoulders start grooving, we got a little hips, so putting the hands on the hips. And you can do this at your own rate. Sorry, I'm gonna move some of my chairs that I seem to have a lot of. At your own rate, but kind of just doing some of those pelvic hip circles. So pressing the hips forward, opening up the heart, and then hinging over to one side, doing a fold, over to the opposite. And this one, we're gonna slow down a little bit so we can start to be aware and notice maybe areas of tightness, of stiffness, of sensation. Good. And then you can make those hips a little bit smaller, rotating it in and then releasing. I'm glad that little one is there. So then we're going to, I'm just trying to adjust my screen here so you can see me a little bit better. Then finding some balance on the feet. You can place your hands on the hips and draw the belly button in and up to engage the core to help with balance. And we're gonna lift up our knee, wearing black on black, my fun slippers. And we're just going to start to rotate the ankles. You don't have to lift up that high. I'm just doing it to show you. Rotate the ankles and then allow a little swirl in the knees. This is where I always like to say, this is how my mom, it's a good mom dance move. This is how my mom would always dance. And then shake the leg like you maybe have a leaf stuck to the foot or a child hanging onto the leg, and give it a good shake.
Like, get off me, kid. Get off me.
I can notice how one side might feel different. And we're going to go over to the other side. So find that balancing on the opposite leg, lift up the knee. Somewhere where it's coming out like perpendicular to the floor. Start with the rotation of the ankles.
Worms can kill you.
In both directions. Then that rotation maybe comes to the knee. If you want to get out your pointer fingers and do a little groovy dance. And then that, Steve, that's amazing.
You like that?
I feel like we should go clubbing when we're allowed back out.
Yeah, this is how old people club.
Yeah, exactly. That's the mom. The mom, the Elaine Bennis. And then we're going to shake that leg again. Like you got something stuck, and give it a good shake. And then pause, bring it back down. Take a second now and notice what's showing up. So where's the heart? How's the heart beating? How's the breath? Notice how there's still that sensation of movement, that vibration throughout the body.
Your hand's cold.
I'm going to invite you to imagine you've got little weights on your fingertips that are going to draw the arms down, the shoulders down and back. The belly button is going to draw in, so the lower belly comes in and up. The lower ribs connect. And we just try to gather energy in our center. With some softness in the knees, do a slight bend
Sweep the arms out, up, and overhead. Interlace the fingers, and then we're going to hinge forward, bending the knees, bringing the hands, arching and stretching out the back. Release the hands to the thighs, slowly roll up. Roll the shoulders back, lift the heart, open up the hands, and arching the heart forward and up. Lifting it up, doing a little slight back bend. And then softening, coming back. Placing the hands on the heart or in palms, in prayer or Anjali Mudra, whatever calls to you. And taking a moment to connect with the sensation of the heart beating in the body. Maybe bringing your awareness to the soles of your feet and that sense of groundedness and rootedness as we stand here in this earth together. Taking a nice deep inhale on purpose from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head. And then exhaling, release. Taking one more inhale, filling the body. And then on an exhale, allowing there to be sound, releasing of the hands, letting go. Pausing here to bring awareness and integration from the physical body, the emotional body, and the mental body. And then when you're ready, slowly bring a little bit more movement back and return to whether it is your chair, your place, have a bow.
Xenia, that was exactly what I needed. You know, what a gift. You're such a talented movement teacher.
Thank you.
That's great. It was fun and playful. Oh, I'm loving this image of, it's just hanging with your daughter. Hi.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was playful and touching and everything that I needed for today. What a gift.
thank you, Xenia.
Ways to bring in joy into our days, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. For this April 15th, 2020, it is wonderful to see your faces, to connect with you folks. So wonderful. Thank you for your smiles, for your laughs, for your tears. I hope I get to see all of you tomorrow. We'll be back same time. And don't forget, Rebecca, Laura, anybody who's in the super chat here. Super chat. I had to say it once today.
That was your first time today.
That's my first time. Any of you folks, when I mentioned chat during the meditation, I thought it would be so inappropriate to do a super chat during the meditation.
If that's what you were feeling in the moment, Tim, that was what you were feeling in the moment, then
in the moment. Yeah, I think a lot of things.
Live your truth, my friend. Live your truth.
Yeah. Well, hey, I don't have to be governed by all my thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. So again, thank you all for your wonderful connection, and I hope I get to see all of you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, you as well. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.